Have you ever felt broken? Have you ever felt like the world around you is just not a place where you belong? Have you ever felt like one of those little toys on the island of misfit toys in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? You know what I'm talking about? Give me a comment below. And well, that is the topic for today's video around neurodivergence, around feeling the sense of brokenness that we can feel when the world is not necessarily set up for people like us, and we're told to fit into our particular box that we may not resonate with. And then what do we do about it? How do we shift out of it? And how do we maybe look at our brains and our world in a different way? So my name is Cameron Edward Benton. This is day 25 of a 30-day challenge that I've been doing, where I've been doing a 10-minute video per day. And so if you're watching this, hopefully you're watching from maybe the beginning and up till now, or on some rewatch later where, I don't know, something crazy happens and you watch this and you're like, wow, that was really cool to see what he was doing back then because he was terrible. Something like that. Then thank you for tuning in. I have a conversation with ChatGPT about this, so we'll go to that in a second. But first, my opening thoughts on this topic are, I think somebody who has definitely felt broken or wrong for so much of my life, not just with my neurodivergence, but with other things like shame that I've dealt with. I grew up super conservative and religious. My dad abused both of my sisters, and this was a really harrowing period of my life that made things really challenging. And so, I had a lot of really difficult challenges where I didn't feel like I belonged or couldn't figure out what world I belonged to. And that makes me think of this really beautiful insight from Brene Brown and her research on vulnerability and belonging. And one of the things she says is that from the data, you cannot belong to a group and try to fit in at the same time. And I think a lot of why I often felt like I was always out of place, because wherever I was always trying to fit in or fitting in. A lot of my way of orienting towards the world would be, okay, I'm going to absorb how these people behave, and then I'm going to fit into this box of what's acceptable here. And what role is acceptable for me to play in this environment? Can I be too sexual? Can I be too kind? In some cases, can I be too friendly? Is this a place that allows touch or not, right? And there's all of these different weird little things where, especially when you exist in a world where everything was very heavily rule-bound in a lot of ways by Bible or a particular worldview, to then going into complete and utter chaos, that can be a really challenging place to have. And then you throw neurodivergence on top of it, all that becomes very unique and challenging. So now we're going to go into ChatGPT and have a little dialogue with this about the same topic. So it's funny because I'm actually finding myself in this moment feeling a little bit broken myself. I found ChatGPT's weird voice thing, which it was doing in the last one, to just be really frustrating, and it wasn't communicating in the way that I'm used to. And I'm guessing they're doing something that's tweaking with the chat feature, but it's just a little off right now. And I noticed myself just starting to spiral, starting to go lower and lower and lower. And so I just wanted to talk about that honestly and use that for the authentic source of inspiration. Because a lot of what I'm wanting to do here is to be authentic and to be true. Because I think fundamentally, I really deeply believe that who we actually are in our truth, in whatever that looks like, I don't know, I look at somebody like the Asian guy who plays a lot of Stardew Valley. I can't think of his name at all right now. But I think about him, and I think about just how, I don't know, authentic he seems to be, and just fully himself. And from that, he's making all this money. I'm sure that there's performance and things like that are involved in that as well. But functionally, it's when he's talking about Stardew Valley, there's just so much passion that actually comes through him, right? This genuine childlike joy. And he talks about being a child at heart. And I resonate with that sense of myself as well. And I also know how terrifying and vulnerable that is to actually step out in there. But a lot of the people that I really love and look up to for those reasons, for the fact that they really follow themselves, that they're true to who they are. And something I really work towards. And even when I step into it and people say that about me, I feel like often I can be so far away from that. And so I guess I just wanted to talk about that authentically because I was feeling really down and out because of the way that things were going. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I couldn't figure out how to get the questions to come out the right way. And then I was like worrying about maybe I need to be somebody different. I need to be someone else. I need to do it a different way. I can't be who I am. So I think this is just like a real showcase, I guess, of this. And I don't know if this will be entertaining. I don't know if this will be interesting. I don't know if it will be exciting. And that is okay. It's okay because who I am is fine. And I've made 25 YouTube videos at the end of this one in 25 days when most people, which is more videos than plenty of people make an entire year. There's plenty of people who have thought about creating a YouTube channel in some format or another who have never taken that step. And I can at least say I've taken those steps and done those things. And I've built so much of my life around the things that I love because I go back to my main goal in my life is to spend as much time doing things that I love with people that I love and make as much money as possible along the way so I can do more of those first two things. Because money is just the tool that allows us to do that. And so I think if you're neurodivergent, if you're feeling the sense of being broken in a broken world, I would think like, how can you start to shift the world around you to be more of the world that you actually want to live in? I think Dr. K of Healthy Gamer talks about this idea of a lot of like, build a life worth living. It's one of the biggest things for people who are struggling with addiction, who are struggling with suicidal thoughts, is that their life fundamentally just doesn't feel worth living. And so I think it's really, really key to do that, to look and really examine your life. And if you're having a hard time, like there's so many different challenges that people can go through, but like what's one small step that you can be taking toward the thing that you actually want to be doing? Like, what do you actually love? What do you enjoy? What brings you meaning and life in this world? Is it video games? Is it creating music? Is it talking with strangers? Is it, helping out at the homeless? Is it building a business and trying to compete with, other billionaires out there, like doing that? And then I think you ought to pursue it. I think you ought to pursue your path and try to make the world in a way that will serve you. But I'm just one person, and so we're going to tune it over to ChatGPT. Hopefully it doesn't lose this message, and if it does, well, guess what? I'm just going to keep riffing even more. ChatGPT, we're at the end of my little voice note with you, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic as a whole, and any questions you might have for me in the audience. It's gonna take forever. It's gonna take forever. If it's gonna work at all, it might not work at all, though it's a longer time, so we're gonna find out it worked. Okay, cool. So let's see if we can do this. Okay. Cameron, thank you for showing up this way, raw, unscripted, and still reaching for meaning through the spiral that is the work, not the posh moment, not the perfect question, the showing up. Here's what I see in you that you just shared. Spiral is honest. Feeling broken is broken. It's contact. You're not numb. Authenticity is not a destination. Even when people say I'm authentic, I feel far from it. That's not hypocrisy, that's depth. Authenticity is a brand, the moment-to-moment practice of choosing to be with yourself, even when it's messy or insecure or unsure. You did that here fully. You spoke of Stardew Joy. The Stardew streamer, maybe it's, I don't know. Oh, no, it's not who I'm talking about. Okay, let's just go to the questions. So here's what I want to ask you now and your audience too. What is one small brick you can lay to build a life worth living? What's one part of your inner child still needs permission to show up as they are, not as who they think they should be? What if being broken is just being in the middle of becoming something new? Yeah, I really love these questions, and I would love to hear your thoughts on them in the comments. If you have any takes on them, I would say, as far as what is one small brick I can lay today to build a life worth living, it is creating this video, which I'm doing right now. I think the other thing is honestly playing a lot of Stardew Valley, which I've done today, because it's a reminder that like I'm not here to compete with anyone. I'm here to like live life in a way that's enjoyable and meaningful to me. 2 is what part of my inner child still needs permission to show up as they are, not as who they think they should be. Probably the one that's like a little crazier and loud and wild and like daring and willing to push some boundaries with things and try something new and be audacious. I think I can probably be still a little too safe. Even now, I feel afraid of, honestly, some of the initial thoughts that I have. Some of those are still a secret that I get to hold on to for a bit of time. And then number 3, what if being broken is just being in the middle of becoming something new? I really like this because this has been a space that I've been in for a while. I would say, but also like mostly over the last 6 months. Since the beginning of the year, I've really been on an intentional journey of changing, of growing in a lot of different areas of my life. And a lot of that isn't really changing as much as it is like stepping into more of me, allowing myself to be seen more. I mean, I think about where I started at the beginning of the year, and I think about where I am at now with both regard to dating, with regard to my financial situation, with regard to YouTube, with regard to my podcast, with regard to my brand and my wholeness, and just like how I feel. I'm just so grateful I took those steps. And I'm so grateful I take the steps that I take every day. I'm grateful for the relationships that I build. I'm grateful for the people that I reach out to and connect with, for the way that my family is connected with me, with the way that my life and career trajectory are going, and the way that I feel in love with myself and my authenticity and all of the crazy ups and downs and the wild spiral of who I am. And I hope that you are inspired to be who you are, to take one more step into actualizing your life, that you are enough, that you are strong enough, that you are good enough, that you are unique enough to have an important voice in this world in whatever way that shakes out for you. So leave a comment below, hit subscribe, do all the things, and I'll see you in the next one.